With that being said, turn it over to Tony to talk for just a couple minutes.
Alright, just to prepare you, they told me to talk for 20 minutes, not a couple, so don't think that we're done in like 5 minutes. But I want to get the lay of the land. So who out here is here for their first go-code? You guys are so polite with the hands. First go-code. Alright. I want to hear who's here for the second go-code. And I want shouts. Give me some shouts. Yeah! Alright. You know, I was kind of expecting to get like, because you guys who's been here for 3 or more? Yeah! Oh, yeah, my people. Right on. Okay, so the way I see it, people are either here for one of these 3 reasons. They're here for the prizes, they're here for some practice, or they're here for people. So $15,000 is an enormous prize. So by a show of shouts, how many people are here for the prize? Those are all the dinner people. All right, so some of the practice that you can get here are team building, building a portfolio, your development, data analysis, data science, data management, data, everything else. Who's here for practice? Shouts. Yeah. All right, who's here to network? Got some people here to network. Very, very cool. So I'm Tony Rosati. I have been here since, I've been with GoCode since the very beginning in some form or fashion. So yes, since 2014. That means that I have all of the t-shirts, I have a giant collection, and now I have a hat to go with it. So I strongly credit my experience with GoCode Colorado helping to advance my career. I've also seen it as a platform to help me grow as a person, right? So this is what I want to share with you today. By sharing my story, I'm hoping that you guys can take away a little bit about how GoCode might be able to transform your life or your career. So let me start with my first year. So my first year, my main motivation was practice. I was at CU Boulder at the National Snow and Ice Data Center, and I was about to be promoted to product owner. And that scared the shit out of me. It was for a data set search tool. I was totally experiencing imposter syndrome. All I could imagine was my team not wanting to listen to me, thinking that I wasn't qualified, and just, not wanting to follow whatever was going on, being judged by my team. So I basically knew that the people skills that I would get by being in a competition like this would help me along the way. I wanted to know what I didn't know. So we formed our team at the beginning of Challenge Weekend. Anyone that's new, we used to have a challenge weekend. A couple weeks later, we had a mentorship weekend, and then we actually had some pitches at the end. You guys are some lucky ducks that you get to have everything condensed into one day. Can we thank Stacy and her team for that? Can I get an applause for Stacy? This year is looking pretty awesome so far. Okay, so we formed our team at the beginning. I barely knew anybody. We're trying to put together a product. No one's listening to me, and by the middle of Challenge Weekend, I just wanted to run away. Like, all I wanted to do was go home and watch Star Trek reruns. I was watching The Next Generation again, because it was only 25 years old. And I wanted to drink beer, or maybe several. It didn't even matter. I just wanted to run away. So what I learned was that I was smack in the middle of the storming part of team formation, and have you guys heard of storming, forming, norming? Okay, that's kind of what I thought. It's basically when people come together to form a team, there's always some cultural things that happen, some disagreements, and things until you get to this culture. Mr. Bob Kittredge over here is going to tell you all about it. It is something that you very much need to know. But at the time, I didn't know it was normal. So with all this disagreeing that was happening on the team, my ego was being bruised, and my imposter syndrome was just getting louder and louder. I was thinking, why aren't they listening to me? I to be a terrible product owner. So this practice I put myself through for this first year of Keynote was proving harder than I thought. And towards the end of challenge weekend, I was finally starting to see the part that I played in all of that. And so I showed up on the last day of the weekend a bit more realistic. I was willing to listen, and that meant that not everything needed to go my way. So by adapting what I thought leadership looked like, I was able to really help our team make the pitch that got us on to the next level. But that wasn't the end of our lesson. So at the end of Mentor Weekend, we actually lost our senior developer. It was our only senior developer on the team. So we were already the underdogs, and now we were desperately the underdogs. We all have busy lives. I'm sure you guys are experiencing this. The data, they're curated, but they're still messy. It's hard to deal with. We were all frustrated. We were trying to wonder, why would someone use our app over an existing app? So we had 6 weeks to do all of this, but at the end of the 6 weeks, we were beat. Once again, I wanted to crack open a beer, or several, and watch Star Trek reruns, but this time it wasn't because I was running away. It was because we actually got to the end. We actually submitted something. We actually made a pitch. So, what do you think happened after we made that pitch and got the judge's final report? We killed it! Right! But not in the way that you thought. See, we didn't win one of the 3 prizes at the time. We got fourth place, which was the best thing that could have happened to us. So at the time, if you won, you got a contract with the state of Colorado. We had absolutely no energy for that, but 4th place meant that we did really, really darn good. And we were underdogs, so we crushed it! Yeah! So the bottom line here, this is what I want you to take away, is that I met my goal for that first year. I joined the competition to learn about what I didn't know about being a product owner and leading a team and doing all of that stuff. And it provided a safe place for me to overcome my shortcomings and not get fired in my real world job. So I ended up not making the same mistakes that I originally made with my team that I stormed, and I was way better. So that year I learned what the phrase software is hard actually looks like, what it actually feels like. And I learned that I was a bit too much of a hard ass, both on myself and on my team. So some of that I kept, some of that was good, some of that I let go. And so essentially what I want you to take away from that is be willing to learn, be willing to adapt. As you go through this process, what you're doing is not easy. But don't let your ego get in the way of you becoming bigger and better as a person and as a team member. All right, got 2 more points. How's the energy in the room? All right, so the next year I didn't have an open schedule, so I couldn't compete, which was probably good. It's hard to do what you guys are doing, like no joke. Thank you guys for doing that. So I asked if I could be a mentor. They said yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, they said yes. So 2015 was my first year as a mentor, and I have not missed a year since. I have led or MC Challenge Weekend for Colorado Springs. Let me hear my Colorado Springs people. Yes. Oh my God, that was the best year. I've been a House of Genius panel. I've been a judge. I've been a pitch coach. I was actually on Bob Pitch's team for pitch coaching. You're a rock star, man. I've just mentioned you twice, so don't miss the opportunity to be mentored by me. And of course, I'm constantly pimping out. Yes, that's what I meant to say. Go Colorado everywhere I go by inviting and encouraging people to participate. But why would I do something like this? All right. So how many? We can do a raise of hands. I'm not going to make you scream the whole time. How many people have heard that data is the new oil? What about data is the new bacon? I have a t-shirt that says data is the new bacon. It's the best shirt ever. data community called Analyze Boulder. And we meet once a month. You guys are all welcome to participate, either just hang out and get free beer, or actually give a talk and get more free beer if you like. But next week, one of our speakers used to be a police detective, and now he's a data scientist at Twitter. And he's giving a talk on how he believes data is the new heroin. So all this to say that I don't think we can deny that data is power, right? And so to me, public data means power given to the people. All right. So much like our right to vote, I believe we should all have equal right to use this data to shape our society. So I want you to consider this. On the one hand, open data and innovation go together like peanut butter and chocolate, like kittens and memes, all right? But on the other hand, we hear about identity theft, using personally identifiable information, or even groups manipulating entire societies for their own benefit. So it's an interesting time to still be an advocate for open data, right? When we have these essential threats saying, yeah, we'll just manipulate you. Much of the data that you're working with for GoCo Colorado has been painstakingly found, curated, shared. Miss Margaret back there, who's having a lovely conversation, is a big part of making all those data sets available to you guys. She was just telling me a story about how she actually screamed when she found out the data set was available. See, these people are my nerds. I love you, my nerd. All right. So these data sets are about locations, they're about businesses, they're about crime, they're about environments, they're not about individual people. And so while every business wants to influence people to buy their products, hopefully these products actually improve people's lives. So our society still values privacy, we still value free will, and no matter what side of the political spectrum you place yourself on, we hold those values. So the data, but the use of data to influence is a powerful sword, is what I want to remind you of. I implore you to not only consider the user experience of what you do here today, the potential for it to win the prize, or its statistical significance. I want you to actually consider the implications and the effects of what you build and how it can alter or change society or individuals. So as an example, don't try to win with an amazing algorithm that predicts the prison sentence that someone should have based on maybe demographics or previous sentencing. Try to eliminate the bias that is previously in our society so we can have better outcomes. Okay, rant is over, I promise. Are you guys ready to hear about the secret power of GoCo? Yes. Everybody likes secrets? Yes. So you already heard my story about learning about myself and growing as a product owner. But the truth of the matter is that relationships catalyze growth. And at GoCo, there are so many possibilities and opportunities for relationships here. So here's my vulnerable story. It's my example. So I left CU Boulder, which also meant that I left the earth sciences and academia altogether in 2015 to pursue user experience research and some product management full-time, but in industry. And the transition was not easy. I found a great e-commerce company, and they seemed to really value my analysis skills, but they wouldn't understand a p-value if it smacked them in the face. And they didn't really want to. So let's just say it was an enormous culture change. 10 months in, some of the work that I did there led directly to a much needed merger. But that merger meant that me and my front-end team were laid off because we were suddenly redundant with the other front-end team. So, is anyone here a Star Trek fan?
Yeah.
Does anyone know what it means to be a red shirt?
You're toast.
Exactly. So, for the Star Wars people in the room, a red shirt is the person that goes down to the planet and the audience absolutely knows that they're going to die. Like, they are just dispensable. And that's exactly how I felt, right? And the layoff was just the beginning, right? I love startups. The startups are volatile. And so the next startup I was at for a few months, and then suddenly my boss stops talking to me. And on Thursday, I got pulled into HR. I'd never been fired before, and I was mortified. I was terrified. I didn't know what this meant for my future, what this meant about my work and all that. And I was going down this dark path of I don't deserve to be in tech. I don't know if it's worse being a woman and being less represented, but it sucked. Let's just say that. And so, even though I felt expendable, I felt misunderstood, I felt like a red shirt, I wasn't allowed by the friends and relationships that I made here at GoCode to stay in that darkness for very long. So, the friends that I made here were like, no wait, you're really awesome. You should come work at my company. Or I have this friend that could totally benefit from your skills. See, they knew my quirky personality. They knew my work ethic. They knew my work style. And they knew that this firing was bullshit, even though the boss felt justified. That's fine. So, the GoCode people were there with encouragement, mentoring, and coaching, and ultimately love. So even when I questioned my abilities, they didn't let me fall down. I love you too. All right. So another little tidbit about this is that one of the mentors, who actually her company is here at General Assembly, she's gone full circle in her own life. So we first met at that challenge weekend where I was a participant that very, very first year. And not long ago, she told me about how proud she was of me and how far I've come as a person in my career. And she also confided in me that she really didn't like me that much that first year. I kind of don't blame her though, right? But to me, that sort of honesty, that openness to feedback, that willingness to question her first impression of me and let me grow as a person and become bigger and better than I was before, that's an incredible gift. And to date, that is only something that I've gotten at GoCode Colorado. Woo! Yeah. Except for maybe my husband. But yeah, seriously. Okay. So you've heard a ton about me. Let me just summarize what's in GoCode Colorado for you. If you need a hint, it's essentially that GoCode is way bigger than the sum of its prizes. Okay? So number one, you get to learn about yourself. One step in humility can trampoline you to being a better person. Number two, you're doing incredible things with very important data that somebody needs to do and not enough of us are doing. But you guys are the ones that are showing up and doing it. And you should applaud yourself for it. In fact, just applaud yourself right now for that. And the last one, the third point, is the real secret sauce, which is the relationships. No one is an island, and things happen where there's trust, where there's understanding, where there's history. And that's what relationship is. So what I want you to do, live long and prosper, kick ass, end today with your plan for the next couple of weeks, and make sure that you turn in your submission on April 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. We really appreciate it. For the rest of you, I encourage you to take one of the mentorship sessions. They're really great. There's a lot of great experts. Margaret's going to remind you of something critically important, I'm very sure. But take these mentorship sessions, take 2 of them, find people with the topics that interest you, vet your idea, make it better, Have a great